China at no stage will ever accept India as an equal part. Nothing can stop India now.
So what do you assess tools in the arsenal, sir?
Simple short answer is Taiwan is ours, whether you like it or not, soon going to reunify. We have got the military capability which you never knew that it existed. China has got such hypersonic missiles that it can destroy 11 aircraft carriers in 20 minutes. The fact remains that nothing can stop China as much as we think that nothing can stop India. USA has gone through a process of transformation in a short time, accepting multipolarity. Nobody is listening to them. If they really want to rejuvenate themselves as a superpower, we also want them to remain as a superpower. There is a greater realization that USA is no longer a superpower. It's a decline. And they have realized that they're in an economic mess. What does it mean? I'm indicating to a G3. Who are the G3? USA, China, Russia.
All we in India need to do right now is to strengthen our deterrence.
It is going to be of utmost importance is what, staying above the loop of escalatory matrix. That is called a dominate the escalatory matrix, which India did during Operation Sindhu. The whole world is studying Operation Sindhu, the success of Operation Sindhu.
So when we see a threat perception, China and Pakistan, we're seeing their technological advancement. The only way to do it is through innovation and research and development in this field.
You don't go with boots on ground. It is the drones which have to fight the battle. Why don't we go in for reverse engineering the way China has done? Sam, dam, dand, ved. If China could do reverse engineering and come up to this level, there is nothing wrong in it. Achieve, get closer to the technological supremacy. If not now, by 2047. If not 2047, by 2100. India must make a long-term perspective plan.
The world is evolving rapidly. China is asserting itself in Asia. The US is balancing its influence. Russia continues to play a strategic role, and India is finding its place in this complex landscape. To help us understand what this means for India's defense and strategy, we are joined by Major General Sudhakar ji, a seasoned defense expert with decades of experience in military planning and operation. In this episode, we'll explore India's growing military capabilities, the rise of drones, advanced weaponry, and the technologies reshaping modern warfare. We'll also discuss how India can navigate this dynamic environment to maintain strategic advantage. Get a closer look at what it truly takes for India to stay ahead in this new era of defense and strategy. So, without further ado, let's get started. Major General Sudhakar ji, welcome on Dive Publishers, sir. A pleasure having you today.
Thank you so much.
Look forward for a conversation. It's going to be about the geopolitical influx that we see all around. We've been seeing a lot of things around the in terms of geopolitics. We saw some tariffs on India. We then saw PM Modi visiting China for an SCO meet in Tianjin. And then we saw a spectacle that China wanted to show to the entire world, the PLA parade. Sir, what are your thoughts on the entire geopolitics dynamics at the moment?
Good, excellent. First and foremost, Shivam, I must compliment you. I'm seeing somebody at your age in the pinnacle of success in a very short time. And last time I think we met each other was in the Chandigarh Military Literature Festival. And since then you have been after me. Somehow events have overtaken. I had to cancel 2 of my trips in the past, and I must compliment you. Perhaps there is a old saying, there is a calling, and that calling is today. Notwithstanding the fact, although you have shared you're leaving tomorrow, you're flying to UK tomorrow, so the calling is calling. Second thing that I wish to come straight to the question that you have asked. The global order today is going through a geopolitical churn. Very quick reflections in your question. There are 3 main issues. There is something which is happening at the global level, something which is happening at the regional level, and something which is happening at the national level. Global level, there is a thing called as a declining superpower. While making this statement, I would say this perhaps is the trigger, is the start point for everything related to geopolitics. People need to understand. Why am I saying this is that people need to understand that no superpower or established power would ever like to lose its authority and supremacy. What? And when I say this, I would like to remind people about the Thucydide trap. Thucydide trap is a trap. Thucydide was a philosopher, Greek philosopher. Professor Allison is a political scientist from USA. In the year 2015, he presented his paper, and it says he carried out study, very in-depth analysis of 500 years back, and he studied and narrowed down to 16 cases. Out of 16, 12 cases led to very serious and intense conflict. Okay. So it says that no established power will ever allow a rising power to come near its footing. Yeah. While it is relevant and appropriate for USA related to China, it is equally applicable for India to China as also India to USA. When I say this, the point I have in the mind to share with the audience is that USA doesn't want India to become the second China because its existence as a superpower is being threatened. One. Second, China has overtaken USA in almost everything. Today, as per the PPP, purchasing power parity, China is way ahead. It has left USA behind. Okay. India, we are at places you'll find 11 trillion, but exact figure is around 17 trillion as per the PPP. So we are no less. So USA is scared. The speed, the scope, and the profundity. With profundity, when I say in silence, we are progressing like a tree. We are growing like a tree without making any noise, silently, discreetly. So they are also scared, apprehended that ऐसा तो नहीं है कि by 2047 will go. Let me also share one thing. There are very established think tanks who have come out with a figure. By 2038, India is going to overtake USA in PPP. Okay, $34 trillion by 2038. We are likely to become that. So, having said all this, what is happening is in the global order today, USA is got a debt of 37 trillion. Lately, I saw one more trillion is added in past 6 months. 38 trillion of debt. Almost about 5 trillion of BBB. If you add up all this 42 trillion, what it means is every year USA requires something close to $1 trillion just for debt servicing, for the interest servicing. Plus, to run its government, it requires almost close to 6 trillion per annum. The revenue generation is 4 trillion. There is a shortfall of 2 trillion here, 1 trillion there. Where does the country like USA get these 3 trillion every year? So, this is a big challenge. Technologically, China has left USA far behind. Okay. And also, geopolitically, there is a new dimension. In Cold War 1.0, it was by geopolitics that USA, as a superpower, uh, took help of China to ensure disintegration of USSR. So geopolitics was the central factor to lead the geopolitics of the world order to a successful profile. This time in 21st century, it is geopolitics is not relevant. What is relevant is the entire global dynamics is gravitated towards geoeconomics. And the supremacy of one country is acknowledged worldwide. That is China. China is playing the game of geoeconomics. It is preparing for a war and it is going to succeed in the war. The concept of war is what Sun Tzu said, that win a war without fighting one. Yeah, with your strength. Correct. With economics. Why am I saying is that in 1970s, you see, the transatlantic countries and part of the West Europe, they dominated more than 70% of the global economy. Today, China has got doing trade with more than 120. My research suggests that it is more than 146 countries. But in open domain, you find 120 countries. Large number of countries, there is trade surplus in favor of China. My research says it is 109 to 111 countries, including USA and India. Yeah. So it is by geoeconomics, it will make all countries dependent on China, thereby not going in for kinetic war as such, thereby winning and predominating its status as a supreme power by 2049 or earlier than that, thereby achieving the concept of rejuvenation of the world order, rejuvenation of the Middle Kingdom, and become a global power so as to pose a viable threat to USA as a superpower. I hope I've been able to answer.
Yeah, you have. I've got a couple of questions, but first I'm going to ask you on the China part. Where does China see India in this 2049 race to supremacy, sir?
Excellent question. You see, many of us don't understand the philosophy of China. While China wants to become a global power by 2049, because where it has actually hurt the inner self-esteem of a country like China is the century of humiliation. People have to understand this. The century of humiliation was so debilitating for China's existence as a nation state that in order to foster nationalism, they used to have holiday, national holiday. Is to be called a national humiliation holiday.
Yeah.
It is to be for 7 days at one point in time. Then it kept on coming down. Nowadays, I don't know whether it is being observed or not. So if the primary aim was to that every human being, every citizen of China should be injected with such nationalistic favor that he has to commit himself in a selfless manner for the growth and prosperity of the nation. Growth and prosperity is directly related to economics, which Deng Xiaoping achieved. It carried on from late 70s till 2011-12. And when Xi came, he is the one who started aggressive projection of power.
Before we dive into today's conversation, I want to take a quick moment and ask for a favor. We noticed that 93% of you who watch our content regularly aren't subscribed yet. My promise to you is simple. If you hit that subscribe button, we'll keep working hard to bring thought provoking conversations, incredible guests, and the topics you really care about the most. It is practically free for you, but it makes a huge difference for us, helping us grow, reach more people, and bring even better content your way. Thank you for supporting. It means the world to us. Now let's get back to the video.
That is, I feel, is doing a lot of damage, the BRI concept. When you start coercing, when you apply the three warfare strategy of legal, media, and perception management, when you encroach, when you keep your neighbors subdued by virtue of, encroachment and salami slicing, that gives out too much of negative energy. But thankfully, the tariff tyranny of Trump today is given a lot of vacuum to be capitalized by China.
Yeah.
And the question that you are asking about India, China at no stage will ever accept India as an equal power. The biggest challenge today India is facing, that it cannot be accepted by China as an equal power. We want equality. What is strategic autonomy? Strategic autonomy is something close to equality. Treat us as an equal partner, be it USA, be it European Union, or be it China. That is my understanding. When I say this, what I also mean is that while China knows that it cannot accept India as an equal partner, it is very mindful of the fact that here is a growing resurgent India it cannot ignore.
Yeah.
Nothing can stop India now. You can arm twist, you can weaponize your mineral dominance, okay, critical rare earth elements and all, but options are very far and few. But it plays two ways. China also is mindful of the fact that here is India, which is holding a basket of 500 million consumers who have got the capacity to buy products more than $12 a day. I am not saying it is the UN agencies who are saying this. Next is China, 787 million. Okay, by 2035, India would have overtaken China. Here is a market, here is a basket. Doesn't want to ignore this relevant and very important aspect. Because of trade and tariff, China is facing a big challenge. Why? Because it is an export-oriented economy. It doesn't have the domestic consumptions. There are many factors which will come to the mind because of time being at premium. I'll not dilate on the issue. Its economy is in slum. Okay, actually speaking. So there are one-child policy is having a telling impact. There is an aging population of 40 years and more. Not like Japan is close to 50 years now, the median age. China is galloping at a very fast pace. So these are the issues, critical issues which China is facing. So therefore, when it looks at India, it looks at India as an opportunity which it needs to capitalize. For larger objective of China, larger objective of China is what?
100-year marathon.
No. वो तो है मैंने बता दिया rejuvenation of South. The larger objective in immediate future is to somehow the reunify Taiwan.
That's the larger objective.
Yes.
Not 2049.
No, 2049 is there. When you take, you see, when you are analyzing the perspective, you have a short term, you have a medium term, you have a long. In the given paradigm, The long-term objective is rejuvenate the Middle Kingdom, become a global power, and so on, so on. So one of the short-term China is looking at, Z particularly, is by 1st of August 2027, it has to somehow or the other reunify Taiwan. If not by peaceful means, by forceful means. By forceful means, there are cyber, there are electromagnetic components, there are space components. Also, if push comes to shove, it will not hesitate to use kinetic component. That becomes a dangerous turning point. Why am I bringing out this point is that it is too close to India and the Indo-Pacific domain to be ignored by India. When a thing like this happens, then the China would like to play its cards very close to the chest and very deftly and try to swing or use India as a swing state. Take it away from USA to its own side. So towards that and that question regarding the SCO that you asked prior to this question, I would say every country today is going through a journey what the world order experienced way back in First and Second World War. What is that they experience? They experience a period of fleeting opportunities for change of alliances. The alliances is to come together like this, they is to break like this in no time. When that happens, then the factor of unpredictability increases. When the factor of unpredictability goes up, what happens is the issues, small non-issues become very fiery issues, flashpoints. They lead to conflict. When the conflict has got the potential to, you know, fan fire all over the world, it may turn out to be the next world war. That is the actually the big challenge wherein China has got as much responsibility to play its cards closely. Because take the example of Venezuela, what is happening? Yesterday only China has warned USA. You dare fire a shot or missile at Venezuela, see what I do to you. So similarly, in a case like this, Taiwan, it is going to be a issue filled with a lot of dilemma, ambiguity, because we have His Holiness Dalai Lama with us. We have also China One policy. When it suits us, we talk about China One policy. When it doesn't suit us, we keep silent. We have also gone to the stage of playing a grey zone warfare by sending our ex-3 chiefs, Air Chief, Army Chief, and the Devil Chief to Taiwan. Okay, trying to say if you misbehave along the border, if you start, renaming the places and locations in the South Tibet as per China, Arunachal Pradesh as far as us, if you start renaming the locations underwater in the Indian Ocean, which has never happened, except for I think last year it took place. Well, these are all signatures of aggressiveness. You got to stop it. Meaningful, substantive, sincere attempts have to go in through process of diplomacy and dialogue, and India will win, make its way towards a growing superpower, if growing global power, if not a superpower by 2047 and earlier than that.
So what you're trying to say is China is cozying up to India only because it sees opportunity, which is going out since India is decoupling from the US because of these tariffs. You're saying this is just an opportunity to tap into the market.
Tap to the market. Second aspect is whatever China is today is because of energy security. It's 83% of energy. It flows through a sea lane of communication connecting the Persian Gulf with Malacca Strait and going further to the East China. From Persian Gulf to Malacca Strait is a distance of 5,750 kilometers. Takes around 7 days of sailing. From Malacca Strait to East China is another 7 days, total 14 days. While it is trying to push its way along the sea peak in Pakistan and sea make along the Myanmar, but it is anybody's guess if it is going to be effective and viable. The energy which flows through the sea is the cheapest, maritime supply, transportation. The moment it comes through the ground, unless the distance is shorter, it may turn out to be cost prohibitive. This is one thing. If it passes through the sea lanes of communication, it is filled with choke points, and major choke points are dominated by India. That is the biggest fear for which it has to actually use the factor of cooperativeness, collaborativeness. And having said that, let me also share that India is just $4.19 trillion economy today. China has gone beyond 19 trillion. Okay, nominal terms, almost close to 20 trillion now. 5.5 times more than what we are today, or 5 times more than us. Very deep pockets. To compare India with China, I think it will be a misleading one. It will not give you realistic kind of deductions. China is China, India is India. But to deny a rightful entitlement of progress and development and livelihood of people of India would be an incorrect decision by countries like China. It cannot stop India anyway. So therefore, for a win-win kind of a situation, it will do good to India to calibrate its strategic autonomy and apply its options to cooperate selectively without compromising the national interest and going to resolve the border issue. I think a step in right direction is started recently. Second, we also have negotiated with China. We are getting the tunneling, that boring machine, and the fertilizer, and the graphite required for the electric vehicle. They had imposed a lot of embargo on this. So similarly, if you go in for a quiet diplomacy, one on one, we'll be able to handle China because China knows that it cannot do. Its FDI will start coming in now. Market is gradually opening up. We have now direct flights starting off. Visa facilities have been opened up. Such like issues. Foxconn engineers, they were called back not by written orders, by verbal word of mouth. It has never happened in international commercial activities. 200 or 300 scientists were called back from Tamil Nadu industrial Foxconn establishment. So such like issues have to stop. They have to support as much as we support to China without compromising three things: mutual interest, mutual sensitivity, and mutual respect. I think Government of India has formulated these three mutual aspects in a very, very thoughtful manner. It conveys a lot. The boundary, come what may, has to be resolved at the earliest. That would be a meaningful, substantive, and serious step and clear indication on China's part that yes, they want to go along with India in a long way.
Right. Sir, in the last week, we have seen two major activities from two major powers, I would say. First, we saw US changing the name of DOD, Department of Defense, to Department of War. And then we also hear from some Chinese politicians, Chinese military politicians, saying that China is not scared of any warlike situation. What does this mean? Both the superpowers are hinting towards war.
Yeah. Um, Time is very short with you because it's a very elaborate. Anyway, I'll keep it short. On 12th of April, the Defense Secretary of USA, Pete Hegseth, he made a public announcement that China has got such hypersonic missiles that it can destroy 11 aircraft carriers in 20 minutes. Along with that statement, he also said words to the effect that they have had quite a few war games. Okay, war game is basically, you contest, carry out gaming theory, apply them, and come to a conclusion where you stand, where you need to actually, focus on capability enhancement, your intent, your objective, etc., etc. In series of war games which America has done in the recent past, all the war games have pointed at one thing, that America has been consistently and persistently, I would say, for lack of correct expression, they were losing to China. Third thing, if you recall, sometime in 2023, I think April or 2000, the CIA director, Mr. Byrne, Burn, he gave a statement that despite all efforts, USA and China are going to war over Taiwan in the year 2027. Next thing, I'm coming to an issue in response to your question: strategic resetting. Okay, sometime in the month of July, the president of Taiwan was passing through New York as per the plan and visiting Caribbean states. His stopover at New York was stopped by Donald Trump. So no. Where is it stopped? His predecessor had been allowed. She had gone and stopped in New York. Because, you see, there is a significant shift in the stance of USA going on now. They have realized that whether it is military capability or technological prowess or economic strength, China is well ahead. Do you realize that the tariff came started with some figures and thereafter went up to 145% or something, then crossed 200. Suddenly it came down. Now today I think it is 30% against China, isn't it? Why? It is that because China started weaponizing the rare earth element. Yeah. Three examples I'll give you, three or four examples. Antimony, gallium, germanium. Fourth one,
Oriole.
fourth one very important is graphite. Graphite is of different types, hard, soft, scalable, something, अलग अलग नाम है उसके. He started twisting the tail of USA. Because China today is having 97% dominance on the rare earth element. Why am I bringing out these particular critical elements? Because antimony is such a thing, you cannot, without it, you cannot make nuclear reactor. You cannot have your infrared or the flares. You cannot have 5G, 6G. You cannot have internet successfully, the future paradigm of internet. Okay, you cannot have your blockchain. You cannot have your quantum computing. You cannot have your artificial intelligence. Okay. So such are the necessity. The people may not understand when you talk about semiconductor. A car has got anything between 1,000 to 3,000. An electric vehicle has got 3,000 small pieces of semiconductors.
Yeah.
Okay. The laptop may have one, but the mobile has got six. Your washing machine, your microwave, everything has got a semiconductor today. You're getting the point. So therefore, what it means is that China has got dominance on all these aspects. USA started realizing. And USA also, I was in USA about a month and a half or 2 months back. There is a greater realization that USA is no longer a superpower. It's a declining power. It's a good thing. If they really want to rejuvenate themselves as a superpower, we also want them to remain as a superpower. Some policemen is required in the world order. And they have realized that they're in an economic mess. Plus, nobody is listening to them. Okay. So, under these circumstances, they have started accepting a factor known as multipolarity. Why? USA has gone through a process of transformation in a short time, accepting multipolarity. What does it mean? I'm indicating to a G3. Who are the G3? USA, China, Russia. There is another elephant in the room, that is India. India is the only nation which is stitching east with the west and bringing south closer to the north by factor of being a bright spot despite pandemic in the economy, by the factor of credibility, by the factor of reliability, by the factor of visionary leadership that we have, the political stability in the country. Geostrategic importance of India is also playing. There is a book which I think I suggested to you. If you have time, read that book. Monsoon, uh, Indian Ocean, The Future of American Power by Dr. Kaplan. I think I saw it in your library. It's there most probably. It's beautiful. The sum and substance of the book is that the 21st century, the whole world order, geoeconomics, is gravitating towards, the basket of commercial activities is gravitating towards Indian Ocean. What is the meaning of Indian Ocean? Which is the country? India and the surrounding couple of countries, including Tanzania, including Indonesia. Look at the greatness of the geostrategic importance of India. He talks about the consumer base. This consumer base is not there in any country. China may be boasting of 700 something, close to 800, but actually speaking, they don't have a consumer base. It's an export-oriented economy. So is the case of Vietnam. Vietnam economy is based on 93.3% of its export. India's export percentage is 20%. South Korea is around 43%. Look China, a huge percentage. So when I say 56% of steel in the world is produced in China, what is China going to do with this? Create the ghost towns, nobody to live in. It has to supply, it has to sell. So basically, to answer your question, USA is already ready. It knows that China is preparing for that short-term objective which I shared. Okay, it is may not have come in the open domain. It is going to reunify Taiwan sooner or later. We talk about the amphibian capability. China doesn't have. China has. We have not come to know about it. People draw parallels with Normandy operation way back in 1944. They took 3 years time of preparatory time and so on. So they mobilized the troops. They came together. The grouping took place. Command control coordination took almost about 3 years. Rehearsals took place. Nothing has happened. People don't know. China has already gone through all the steps. It is prepared. For all you know, don't be surprised if you one day find that they have invaded into Taiwan. Although a lot of people say not a shot will be fired, quietly, diplomatically, peacefully, they will go and reunite because Taiwan has invested more than $180 billion worth of industries are there in China. Again, China is also dependent on TSMC because semiconductor is not one component. कहीं पे डिजाइनिंग होता है, कहीं पे लिथोग्राफी, कहीं पे उसका प्रोडक्शन होता है, कहीं पे वो लेबलिंग और कुछ करते हैं. There are 4-5 places of importance and expertise where the product has to pass through, and Taiwan has got the high-end product capability. Integration and all that. So therefore, it knows that it cannot survive without Taiwan. Taiwan also knows that economically they are getting integrated so intensely that perhaps a war may not materialize. Under these circumstances, just take your mind back to what I said. Hypersonic missile, 11 aircraft carriers. In 20 minutes' time, China will be able to destroy these 11 aircraft carriers. Is there anything, any capability, any military might left worth its name in America to talk as a superpower after the 11 aircraft carriers are actually destroyed? Yeah. That should actually answer your question. That is why the nomenclatures are changing from DoD to warfare. They are preparing for a war.
So we also now must talk about the defense capabilities of China and PLA army. And we recently saw the parade, and in that military parade, we saw a full nuclear triad in display. We saw some air-launched ballistic missiles such as JL-1, a new ALBM carried by the H-6N bomber. Then we also saw hypersonic anti-ship missiles that you were talking about right now.
Yeah.
And then a directed energy weapon, which is a powerful laser that are designed for shipboard air defense, capable of binding sensors of disabling income drones and missiles. What you just said that they lack, but they don't because of the parade that they showcased, is the autonomous unmanned system, which is in underwater drones like AJX-002.
Yeah.
They also had expanded air defense portfolios such as SQ-20, some new and cyberspace information forces. So what do you assess from all these new tools in the arsenal, sir?
In simple short answer is they're clearly telling USA, buzz off. Don't trouble us. If you trouble us, we have given you enough exposures to what we can do to you. Taiwan is ours, whether you like it or not. We are soon going to reunify. We have got the military capability which you never knew that it existed. When you started with a nuclear capability, today China has got 600 nuclear arsenals, nuclear bombs. It is planning to cross a figure of 1,500 by 2030, so no, 2035. Okay. Numbers are not important. The capabilities are.
Like a nuclear triad.
Correct. When you talk about the capability, what is it that comes to the mind? It comes to land, air, sea, all the three capabilities they have got. They got 3 aircraft carriers. I think one of your podcasts, you have covered the military might of the naval component. They're the largest naval fleet that China has today. More than 370, close to 400. They've crossed 400. Look at the speed at which they are constructing the ship. The shipbuilding yards are so many, and the speed at which they're actually turning out. Every year, 26 to 27 ships are coming out. India can't actually match. So, not the US. Nobody can match the capability, construction capability. But what I'm coming to is, the fact remains that nothing can stop China as much as we think that nothing can stop India from growing. One. Number two, it has showcased many things. Nuclear bombs, it has showcased your underwater capability, it has showcased your the hypersonic capability. What is standing out in case of China are a couple of issues. One, the hypersonic capability today. After Russia, China is the one which has got very effective platforms. This is a big danger to the existence of USA, not only the aircraft carriers, but to the security in the homeland. What I'm coming to is, if you go and stay in any house in USA, earlier I used to go and stay with my son 5, 7 years back. 6 out of 10 products in his house were made in China. Today, out of he would say, for lack of correct expression, 20 items out of 10 are made in China. But the thing has changed. The labeling has changed. They are coming to Mexico. They are assembling there. Labeling is changing into some Mexican company. Okay,
Or
same
even
thing in
Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia, Vietnam. It is happening. That's why they have gone in for a what do you call that, secondary tariff for imposition on Vietnam.
Yeah.
So you see, economically, they are so dependent from a safety pin to a maybe. Sorry, I'm making this statement. Maybe a sensitive security platform. They may not realize. Third thing which is happening is China has actually taken very significant steps with regard to anti-satellite measures. In future warfare, it is openly stated, Operation Sindoor. You see, India, I think one of the deputy chiefs went and made a statement that they used Pakistan as a lab, as a laboratory, or words to that effect. Okay, and they could see from so. But what is hidden in that statement is that our viewers would do well to understand. In the year 2021, by December 2021, there was an optical fiber laid between the headquarters of Western Theatre Command of China at Chengdu to Rawalpindi. It is passing over the Khunjara Pass, going out through Peshawar and going to Rawalpindi. What does it mean? It means that China is saying for India it may be one front, two and a half, three front, or four front. But for China, it is one front. What is the meaning? It means, hypothetically, if there is a satellite flying over, let's say, low Earth orbit, let's say over Chengdu, 400 kilometers in the space, it is looking at the entire swath from west coast of America to east coast of Africa, entire corridor of Indo-Pacific. It is seeing through, if one platform is not adequate, it has got overlapping platform integrated. Okay, and it is picking up a target. Let's say it picks up a target, let's say hypothetically, Minicoy Island, Lakshadweep. Okay, and there is a ship, there is a tussle going on between a ship of China with a ship of India. It picks up a target, passes instructions to Chengdu headquarters. Chengdu headquarters tells the weapon platform which is there in Pakistan is a launch. So launch. Okay, or it tells the AWACS of Pakistan flying 300, 400 kilometers in depth area of India, from India's side. It gives an information to that. It tells the loader, it tells the weapon platform handler, it tells the headquarters in Rawalpindi, your friend, the order has been given by Chengdu. Basically, what I mean is, a future war, for you and me, it may be Pakistan versus India, but actually, it will be a future conflict which is going to be unleashed from Chengdu with one front concept. They will see the entire swath of Indo-Pacific in one swath. There may be 4, 5 satellites overlapping each other, but integration is such. Along with this, let me also clarify issue. There is a thing called a kill chain. Anna wanted me to come and give a podcast and all. I couldn't come. Kills. People haven't understood. Kill chain is a concept based on beyond visual range. Like somebody used that this is for the first time we have used a missile which went 310 or 304 kilometers deep into Pakistan territory and we knocked down one of the AWACS. Okay. Whether it has been applied or not, I don't know. What it means is 300 kilometers, no human naked eye can see any objective or target. It goes through very technological process. There is something which is guiding, some satellite, okay, which has picked up the target. Call it as initial lock-in data, target selection. It goes through find, fix, okay, target, track and target. All right. Thereafter, you engage, and thereafter you carry out assessment. In short, you call double F, double T, engage and assess. So the whole process, these 6 steps, are being achieved with the help of a satellite, which is enabling you that even if you miss out, there is something which is locking onto the initial target. There is something which is giving you mid-course correction, whether the projectile which you have launched, it will hit the target or not. And there is something which is going to give you a terminal guidance for pinpointed accuracy. This China is claiming. It is not proven adequately. But India has, to my mind, with limited understanding, because I am a retired man, I don't have any specific. Going by the effect and the outcome of Operation Sindoor that we have demonstrated, I have reasons to believe that this very concept which I am explaining is already there with India in some form. But we don't have adequate number of military satellites. We need to actually punch in more power. I think government has given sanction for 52 more by 2029. And China is planning for 26,000 satellites by 2030. You look at the quantum and the size.
Yeah.
So these are the kinds of things that we need to look in for. I don't know where we started. We might have digressed, but as long as
we covered a lot. So
question.
we were speaking about military capabilities of the PLA, and you digress into the different capabilities.
Yeah.
Not just the missile, but also the satellite and.
I was coming to a point, no, in one of your questions, maybe prior to we sit down for the podcast we are discussing. You see, it's good to talk about startup, have a long-term vision. Despite best efforts, our manufacturing has not taken off. In 2014, we started Make in India. That pie diagram of economics, you have service sector, you have agriculture, you have industry, you have manufacturing. Manufacturing was 16.7 in 2013-14. So we had planned to achieve a target of 25% of complete economy, GDP, percent of GDP by 2020. Today we are in 2025. Unfortunately, the manufacturing, instead of going up, it has gone down. It has gone down to 14%. Not that I am trying to criticize. I am also as much a citizen and Indian as you and everyone is. I am concerned. Why is it going down? Aren't we doing enough? Or we are just doing, bombastic talking and not implementing on the ground? The core issue is whenever we go in for a product selection, you have to select the product which is going to be of relevance and utility couple of years hence. When you select a product, there is one thing to get the components and assemble. There is another thing that you produce every component, and amongst all the components you go into selection of those items, sub-components, which are very central. If we buy them from outside, then you don't call as, it will be like a mobile platform. We say the second largest producer and provider of exporter of the mobiles in the world.
Yeah.
But almost about 80 to 90% are the components which are being bought from outside. So until we produce the subcomponents in our country by an indigenous ecosystem, till then I think every Indian has a responsibility to stop making lip service and start making very serious attempt. घर घर पे ये नारा चलना चाहिए. हिंदुस्तान का जो टेक्नोलॉजी की जो लड़ाई है, everyone has to dream, breathe, eat, do everything. Like I have been going around telling people, everyone is a soldier. Now we have to conceive or perceive ourselves that we have a role and responsibility towards nation building. भूल जाओ अभी. Don't ask what country can do for you. Ask as to what we can do. Time has come for the technology, true, not for any other issue.
True. When we see a threat perception, China and Pakistan, we're seeing their technological advancement, their capabilities that we've been talking about, their shipbuilding capabilities, their satellite. So all we in India need to do right now is to strengthen our deterrence, and the only way to do it is through innovation and research and development in this field, and just improve our capabilities as well as at different levels. Like you said, the different stakeholders from DPSUs to the industry to even the startups that are coming in, and we are seeing some good reforms in defense. We've been seeing IDEX, who's promoting startups in defense and different ideas. But yeah, more needs to be done, and we got to amp up the pace. Do you agree? And if you want to add to it, we'll then end our conversation.
Okay. We need to do a lot. We need to divide our approach into a kind of a short term, medium term, long term. A short term could be 5 years, let's say, from 2025 to 3031. A medium term could be for 10 years, let's say 35. A long term could be more than 10 years, say 25, 30 years. Let's keep the target of 2050. And having done that, let's identify what are the product requirements, because 2050 is a long way off. We may not be able to identify because the rate at which obsolescence is taking place in technology, that you really cannot cater for thing which is required in 2050. So maybe 5-10 years from now, by 2030, let's carry out a realistic kind of identification. After having identified, let's have a factor of redundancy. Thereafter, break the product into components, and within the industry, let's sub-allocate the responsibility.
Hmm.
And produce the sub components within the country, and allocate sufficient funds for the research and development. Now you just said it's almost close to 6%. Well, if that has happened,
Percent of the
defense budget,
defense budget and the DRDO budget also.
DRDO. My study, because when I was in California, somebody took an interview on some this thing. My study that time said that it was 3.4 or 3.6% of the defense budget. But if it has happened, well, it's a welcome development. That means government is alive to the reality and the necessity on the ground. That has to be sustained.
That
It
should
is
be
not.
increased as well.
You cannot have 6% one time and thereafter you go down to 1%. The 6%, it has to carry on for 30, 40, 50 years till later. It has to become a way of life, our culture. Because if you compromise technology, even economics also cannot actually stand by you
Yeah.
in times of criticality, because it is the defense, the formidability, the new normal in the warfare is coming to a standoff attack. You don't go with boots on ground. You don't can carry out the bayonet fighting as is used to happen in Second World War, or what happened in Yom Kippur War, tank to tank battle, and so on. So partially it happened in Ukraine, but nowadays it is the loiter ammunition, it is the drones which have to fight the battle. Even the aircrafts, I am not saying they become redundant. No, they have the relevance, like it has been proven adequately in India. What is going to be of utmost importance is what staying above the loop of escalatory matrix. That is called a dominate the escalatory matrix, which India did during Operation Sindhu. The whole world is studying Operation Sindhu, the success of Operation Sindhu. In what way? You see, when you talk about reciprocal risk from strategic restraint in 2008, after 26/11, we had the capability to go and strike. The air chief had gone to the Honorable Prime Minister and requesting, sir, give me a chance. We'll knock them off. But the nation decided otherwise for best of reasons not known to you or me. So, from strategic restraint to reciprocal risk is a great paradigm gravitation. Okay, when I talk about the reciprocal risk, what it means is that you have to continue the dominate the escalatory matrix. When you talk about the domination of the escalatory matrix, what it means is from deterrence of deniability, हम किए हैं नहीं किए हैं, कोविड इज ना अननोन मैन आर्मी की बात कर रहे हो, आई डोंट नो, कोई इंडिया का है, कोई मार रहा है, मारने दो, इट इज फॉर द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ इंडिया, ठीक है नहीं. So it's a class. From deterrence of deniability, you say openly, why we'll hit them. It is called deterrence of punishment. It's a long time. And last but not the least, an act of terror will always be treated as an act of war. Militaries don't go to war. The whole of nation approach. The entire nation is going to go in. This particular one-liner, people have not actually joined the dots. In my understanding, I'm convinced the current behavioral matrix of USA, particularly the president, has taken a U-turn, a complete turnaround, because this one-liner, which came as a cabinet note on the night of 9th/10th, it happened during the sequence of events of J.D. Vance calling up Narendra Modi, apprising him that there is a massive attack going to come from Pakistan. Narendra Modi saying, if they are going to launch a massive attack, we will launch a supermassive attack against them. The cabinet goes out like this. The embassy, USA embassy sitting in Delhi, they get to know, quickly send it to the White House. White House, the man on duty is told, straight away show it to the president. President sees. So subjects like this, those who understand, they don't need any explanation. Those who don't understand, no matter how hard you try to explain, still you can't explain. Donald Trump became jittery. ये तो भाई ये दोनों के बीच में बड़ा तगड़ा लड़ाई हो जाएगा. And soon after that, Pakistan incidentally was planning for a massive attack at 4 in the morning. I don't know the correct sequence, nor the government has given the correct sequence, but my understanding is we had hit Pakistanis in response to their attack of drones and missiles and other things the preceding evening and the preceding day also. Uh, by hitting the air bases. Initially, we stayed 11 bases. Later, it came to 13. The Prime Minister was saying 17, 18. Somebody in Pakistan said, no, it is touching almost 26 bases which have been hit. It could be many more. I say openly in many television programs, I have been saying that it will take anything up to 1 year or more for Pakistan to realize the depth and the destruction which India has unleashed in those 88 hours. It has been a very significant kind of a damage which has been inflicted on Pakistan. They will take a lot of time. And second, people always ask, is Pakistan going to do the second Pahalgam? Pakistan, I have explained, everything that Pakistan does, Pakistan is not the one doing it. There is China, and along with that, you have Turkey, you have Azerbaijan, and now USA angle has come in the Bangladesh now. You see, there are multiple, and the Islamic fundamentalism is spreading, radicalization in Bangladesh. These are new dimensions. So, therefore, coming to the issue of what you asked, we have a long way to go. We have to have strategic patience. We have already secured very significant milestones with regard to the anti-satellite capability, which I think 4 or 5 countries have got. We have got, with my limited knowledge from open sources, to hypersonic missile. Not many countries have got this capability. I don't want to give those glorified milestones of having gone and landed in the south pole of moon and so on. So it is good. These are all very bright and I would say brilliant milestones as far as the India's growth is concerned. But the need of the hour for India as to become a global power is technology, technology, technology. Carry out negotiations with the country. Your turn of century is going to be dictated by, your supremacy will be dictated by how much of rare earth element you have, how much of processing production capability you have, refinement process you have, how much of capability of extraction, because it is another part, the machinery. All the machines are with China. There are two different varieties of there, hard variety and soft variety. Hard variety is a very, it is so inescapable component for like virgin class submarine. You require huge amount of rare earth, but hard variety you require stealth technology, such like things are required. So nuclear reactors. So India has to focus in a significant manner and double down on the effort. Because for the timing, it is good to actually start negotiating with the joint venture, start the joint venture with the, but ultimately, why don't we go in for reverse engineering the way China has done? Like, Sam Dam Dand Ved. We are no, we are 5 times smaller than China. If China could do reverse engineering and come up to this level, there is nothing wrong in it. Yeah. India should do anything and everything to achieve, get closer to the technological supremacy. If not now, by 2047, if not 2047, by 2100. Last but not the least, India must make a long-term perspective plan. This prospective plan will come about provided our country goes in for a national security strategy. You see, it is old saying, what your mind doesn't know, eyes don't see. Okay, the closest analogy, if I may, does the meaning of a country has any relevance without the constitution? No. You have a document called as constitution, which is the guiding factor. How to govern the country. So similarly, a military as big as India, fourth largest, and both the global firepower index as also the military capability and the strength of the army, doesn't a size of the army of India, which is faced with multiple threats, okay, multiple threats. I think time has come. We need to bend down, make a beginning. Absolutely. When you make a beginning, your limited resources will get prioritized, your allocation will take place. Cater for these invisible threats, factors which actually, jump up, spring up out of the blue. I must thank you for your time and your patience and all your wisdom that you share with the audience. I'm sure the audience had a lot of takeaways from it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Enjoyed the episode. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, keep reimagining yourself and know that the power of change lies within you. Jai Hind. Jai Hind, sir.